There's only 5 people you need to build $1 million studio that runs without you. Without these roles, your business can't scale properly. You're always going to feel like you're in jail or this business needs you all the time. You can't run on autopilot. You won't be able to come with me to Hawaii for a couple of weeks and not have to worry about your business or having your phone surgically attached to your hip, and you'll never really get your time back. And the number one regret of the dying is that people didn't live the life that they wanted, okay? In order for you to live the life that you really want, you've got to be in control of your time. Most people think they need more clients, better ads, or some magic funnel, but that's not what fixes the bottleneck. What I've learned after helping thousands of studios and building my own multi-million-dollar companies is that the real secret isn't another playbook, it's people. Now, the right 5 people in the right order turn a stressful owner-dependent business into one that makes more money while you sleep and while you get to enjoy doing things that you want to do, which is, if you're a family guy like me, you're surprising the kids at 3:30 at pickup and taking them to Yoshi for the afternoon. Or you can be anywhere you want because you've got the option to be at the studio. You don't have to be at the studio. There is a difference. My whole mission is to help 1,000 business owners build $1 million dream business, which is one that is designed, not the one that you get by default or the one that you put up with a dream team of these 5 people. Let's call them the starting 5, right? These are your superstars, that both of them fuel your dream life, which gets you to the point where you are happy. Now, the ultimate sweet spot of all this is that you're waking up in true alignment with your ideal life, which makes you feel incredibly fulfilled, right? In other words, people call this freedom. That's freedom of time, space, and money. That's where we want to get you, okay? This isn't like a guru speaking. This is someone who almost died building a business. I fucking hate it. I said to myself when I was staring down death, if I get through this, I'm going to do this a different way. And instead of the only scoreboard being money, right? I'm here to tell you, money only gets you so far. Money only solves money problems. There's no point having money, but still being stuck in a jail that you've built, which is your business. The holy grail definition of a business is a cash flow producing asset that can operate without you. If you don't have that, you don't have a business. You have a job. And a job stands for just over broke. I'm going to prove that in a second. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to work out your real hourly wage. Let's play a couple of scenarios here. I want you to take out a calculator and think about how much money you pulled out last week. I'm talking about you're pulling out. So it's your salary as well as any dividends that you've taken out of the business. Let's say you took out $2,000 from the business last week. Now I want you to work out your actual numbers. Let's say it's $2,000. Now the next thing I want you to do is I want you to work out how many hours you worked in the business last week. Now I'm talking about from the moment you touched your phone to put on a social media post, or whether it's you fixing the schedule up in your membership software, whether it's talking to your team, whether it's buying stationery, like anything that you did to your business, I want you to add up all the hours and write that down. When I do this with most people, they say 60 hours. Okay. When you divide 2,000 by 60 and you work out your real hourly wage, that equals about $33 an hour. At $33 an hour, you're probably the lowest paid employee in your business, and you get the privilege of taking all the risk home at night, which is why you probably can't sleep at the moment. Can I show you what our $1 million studio owners do instead, which paints a little bit of a picture for what is absolutely possible for you right now if you designed it properly? Instead of the $2,000, if you add up the $100,000 wage plus the 30% net profit that they're making on the $1 million studio, they're actually pulling out about $7,500 a week. Okay? They're not working 60 hours in their business. Because they've built the dream team, they're actually only working, they choose to work about 20 hours a week. Some of them actually work less than that, but these guys want to work about this much in their business. So instead of generating $33 an hour, their real hourly wage is about 10 times that. It's about $375 an hour. You tell me, $33 an hour or $375 an hour? That is the difference. How? By building their dream team. So let's break down the 5-person dream team that builds $1 million dream business and a life you don't need to escape from. So I'm going to break these down into the order of least risky to the business and least impact to revenue to the highest impact to the revenue of the business and the highest risk, okay? Now the good news is each hire pays for the next one, because your job is to hire, delegate, and then elevate and start making more money, right? You're always going through this loop of hire, delegate, and elevate. Otherwise you get stuck. You've offloaded it, you've kind of half offloaded it, and you're still fucking around. The first person to hire is the trainer or instructor. What I love to be able to do with our clients is give them the challenge to get themselves, like to reduce 50% of the workload of them working the shifts. Like let's take half the shifts off, okay? Now, the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you codify your 5-star sessions, which is a framework, it's one of the trainings that we have in the academy, is you codify how to run a 5-star session so that when you go and hire these trainers or these instructors, you can train them on how to run a 5-star session so that you feel much more confident that you don't need to be on the floor as much as you are right now. We need to get you off working in the business to then working on the business. That's the first hire that you've got to make, is this trainer / instructor to reduce your workload on the floor by about 50% or more. Ideally, you're not on the floor at all, like you're not actually on the roster at all. And you can choose to go in either for a sick cover or because you bloody want to. And let me tell you, when we go back to this alignment and fulfilled and time freedom, it is much better for you to like be at the 9:30 class because you want to, not because you have to. The second person to hire is your assistant, your admin assistant. This could be a VA, this could be an assistant, this could be your mother-in-law, father-in-law, your cousin. I don't care who it is. You can offload this for about $10 an hour, okay? Now, my goal for you for this particular person is to get 20 hours back. Now, most people can get 10 hours back or more with a trainer and get 20 hours back with an assistant, okay? Trust me, you are not gonna win an award for your business because of the way you process your emails. In the world of AI right now, if you think you're gonna compete because how good you are at emails, you are dead already. Someone less better than you that have just figured out how to use an assistant and also AI, they're gonna lap you, which is, yeah, it might be unfair, but to be honest, like, they were smarter than you. So you get an assistant that gets you 20 hours back. And the way to onboard an assistant properly is to get them to master one thing and then you layer it. Master 2 things, then you layer it. Master 3 things, then you layer it until you fully hand it over a 90-day period, all your admin and your back-end stuff to that person. So now you've made 30 hours back. 30 hours. Already, right, in terms of how to pay for this, how many sales do you think you can make in 1 hour? When I ask this question, most people say they can make 3 sales in this 1 hour. And if each sale gives you $100 profit, which is if you're in our academy, that's the minimum, you've made $300 of profit per hour. Can you see how we are now starting to track towards old mate over here who's making $1 million a year? Can you see why? They've traded how much they were going to make in that hour. They've traded that for 10 times that, $300 profit. That's how you pay for these 2 people. Now, the third person is sales, a salesperson. I'm of the belief is that once you've learned how to get to 40% sales conversion, then go and hire someone else and train them up to hit 40% sales conversion, right? Sales conversion rate. So instead of you having to do this, you know what's better than you making 3 sales an hour and $300 of profit per hour is someone else doing it for you. Now we're starting to like compound your time leverage through team. If you do this properly, this person can actually pay for themselves effectively out of the commissions that they're making for your business. We go through different sales commission structures in the program where there's like option A, option B, and option C. And that's where we can get a little bit funky on how you can actually incentivize them properly so that they actually stick around and they perform for you. So you've offloaded the trainers, you've got an assistant doing your back end, now you've got someone else making the sales. Life's pretty fucking good right now, but we're not done yet. Number 4 is a manager. So at this point, and only until this point, do you really have a proper business, right? We need to get this place under management. When it comes to a health and wellness studio, there's 3 KPIs that we would get a manager to really focus on. One of them would be your sort of rollovers, which is your trialer or your newbie to full member conversion rate. That's called your rollovers. We want to get that to 80%. There's your retention. We want to get that to sub 4%, as in you're only losing 4% of your members every single month. And then there's engagement, right? We want to get that to about 3+ a week, which shows like if my engagement's high in the studio, I know I'm going to get a high rollover and a high retention rate. In the middle of all that, right in here, the ultimate metric for a manager is net growth. But there's levels to get to that point, okay? You wouldn't start with that. You get them really focused. There's a way to onboard a manager to make sure that they again, like they master one of these circles, then the next one, then the next one. And then eventually when they're senior enough, you can actually put them in charge of net growth. So you and I can chill out and you can just look at your scorecard on a Friday, Saturday or a Sunday, and then you know what to coach them on, to coach them up to hitting the metrics. But effectively, this person here, this manager, now looks after all these people. Now you've got a business that's under management. The fifth hire is the most dangerous hire though. Up till this point, the biggest mistake that we see is you've got a manager, but what happens if they get sick? They're also entitled to 4 weeks annual leave. So what happens when they're away? It doesn't take much, or maybe they crack the shits and they leave. It still doesn't take much for you to get dragged back into the business, okay? There's no safety net. So the fifth hire is your succession plan. That's your assistant manager or vice captain or plan B, right? Now that person is a junior, that person that is in the shadows of that person, so that if anything happens over here, you've always got succession planning in your business. So now we're actually dealing with reducing the risk to this business. Otherwise, we want to move away from you being one phone call away from getting dragged back into the business and having to do fucking 20 shifts, back to doing all the admin, back to doing the sales, back to being the manager. Like, that is no way to live. The one thing that I want you to understand is if you've got one, you've got none. If you've got two, you've actually got one. I wish someone told me that when I started my first business in 2014. That is your dream team. And the good news is, like when you think about how you're buying your time back, right? This is a little ladder for how you go from making 33 bucks an hour, still plugging shifts and working 60 hours and taking out $2,000 if you're lucky, to upgrading your time so that you can become $1 million studio owner at $375 an hour. And you've seen how trading 1 unit of time to making 3 sales, and then eventually someone else making those 3 sales, and then eventually someone else managing the person that makes the 3 sales. You can see how you start leveraging your time. So you're in here now. You're in here. Every time we've worked this out with studios, it only costs somewhere between 30 to 50 net members, depending on, your business model, to pay for your dream team, which in our world, it's only a couple of months in terms of the growth for our studios that are hitting these numbers. So again, the format is you hire, delegate, elevate, and then you hire the next person. The stronger those 5 people get, the lighter the business feels. YouTube's pretty smart. If you've made it this far, it already knows what you want to watch next. And don't forget, before you go, my kids would kill me if I don't say this, smash the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.